Back here in Washington, though, it was one of the more dramatic days in memory, at least politically, as the president continued a protracted rhetorical assault on his own attorney general, Jeff Sessions. It began before breakfast this morning with this tweet, quote, Attorney General Jeff Sessions has taken a very weak position on Hillary Clinton crimes. Where are emails in DNC server and intel leakers? Well, the attacks continued throughout the day. In an interview with the Wall Street Journal, the president described himself as, quote, very disappointed in his attorney general. He went on to dismiss the importance of Sessions' endorsement last year during the primaries, which was the very first he received from a sitting senator. This afternoon, at a joint news conference with the Prime Minister of Lebanon, Trump went after Sessions yet again, saying he was upset with the attorney general for recusing himself from the Russia investigation and not doing enough to combat leaks from U.S. intelligence agencies. Watch.
I am disappointed in the Attorney General. He should not have recused himself almost immediately after he took office. And if he was going to recuse himself, he should have told me prior to taking office, and I would have quite simply picked somebody else. So I think that's a bad thing, not for the president, but for the presidency. I think it's unfair to the presidency.
Unfair to the presidency. Well, the Russia investigation is certainly that. It's unfair to the country, too. The whole thing is stupid and disingenuous, as we pointed out many times, and it helps nobody but the partisans who are pushing it. So it's easy to understand the frustration the president feels. But publicly attacking Jeff Sessions for all of that, that is nuts. Senior White House staff think so, too. They have asked the president to stop, so far without success. Meanwhile, Sessions hasn't said a word. His only public comment has been a press release describing his plans to crack down on sanctuary cities. That's his job. That's the point here. Jeff Sessions is doing what he was hired to do, as he has done since day one. Trump ran on securing the borders. Sessions took him seriously in his work to do that. Trump promised to end Obama's policy of harassing local police departments. Sessions has done that, too. In an administration in which many appointees act like they have no idea what their boss ran on, let's import more refugees, one of them said the other day, to predictable media applause. Jeff Sessions has stayed true to the ideas that got Trump elected. That's why the left hates Jeff Sessions more than any other member of the cabinet. They are rejoicing tonight, and not just because Sessions is suffering and humiliated, but because the Trump coalition seems to be fracturing. The left wants to believe, they tell you this all the time, that Trump got elected because he's famous and voters are dumb. But that's not what happened. Trump got elected because he said true things that everybody else was afraid to say. Namely, the American middle class is in deep trouble, and elites in both parties don't care. They're happy to replace hurting Americans with foreign workers who will work for less and not complain. Voters knew in their bones that message was true because it is true. Republicans in Washington absolutely hated hearing that, and they hated Trump for saying it because it implicated them, except for Jeff Sessions. Sessions agreed with that message. That's why he endorsed Trump and left a good job in the Senate to work for him, which is how we got to this weird and ominous moment where the one guy in Washington who actually believes in Trumpism is being forced out of his job by Trump himself. The president should remember that the ideas he ran on are bigger than he is and will remain that way. Senator from South Carolina and a senior advisor at Citizens for Self-Government, Matt Schlapp, is chairman of the American Conservative Union. So I just want to ask you all, you both have been in Washington a while, and I want, as always, to give this administration the benefit of the doubt, as nobody else does. What's the point of this? I don't see how this advances the aims of the administration.
No, I can see how the president's frustrated, but there is no better man than Jeff Sessions and no greater supporter, as you said, of his agenda. I think it would be a big mistake to push him out because Jeff will make the Justice Department what it's supposed to be, and I think the president will be very proud after several years.
It seems like, and I don't think I'm overstating this, that Jeff Sessions is one of the only people working around the president who really believes in what the president ran on. That's not a popular message here in Washington, the soft nationalism, soft populism of the campaign. People hate that here. Why is Sessions, of all people,
I remember
being picked out?
Election night, being in Trump Tower and seeing Jeff Sessions and his wife, and the man was just on cloud nine. He was over the moon. He was so proud of Donald Trump. He had done so much to get him there. And it's really painful for those of us who respect the president and have known Jeff Sessions and respect Jeff Sessions to see this all happening. You know, Tucker, there's certain dominoes that fall. So if Sessions were to leave as AG, you have the deputy AG, really, for all practical purposes, not just running the investigation, but everything at the Department of Justice. This is the person who I think kind of balked at the first sign of trouble, and actually was the one who picked the special counsel without running it by Jeff Sessions.
Right.
So it would be very ironic that the very deputy who did the thing that has the president and the rest of us so frustrated that we have this investigation on this wrong track would be the guy in charge of everything, and then they have to get a new guy into the top job, which is no easy task.
Well, that's exactly it. So there are two levels to this. One is the fairness level, attacking the one guy who has helped you and is loyal to you and took the job really at some cost to himself. But the other is the practical level. So I get why the president's frustrated. I'm frustrated as a citizen watching this nonsense. But if Sessions were to leave, could the president get a new attorney general to his liking through the Senate? You served in the Senate for a long time.
Not to his liking, not to my liking. It would take a lot of Democrat votes, I think, to get someone through, or at least some, I suspect. It would be, if nothing else, you would have several months of someone in charge at the Justice Department who is not friendly to Trump's values or ours. I just hope they can work this out. Tucker,
right.
This often happens when you're getting attacked from the outside. A staff start blaming each other, and, the president doesn't need to be involved with this. They need to hang in there together as a team, and they can get this thing done.
And they may. I mean, by the way, Sessions is still there, and apparently has no plans to leave unless asked to leave, unless fired. He and the president have not spoken as of airtime tonight. Do you think they will?
Yeah, I do think they will. Look, it's between these two men to resolve this. Senator Sessions has a lot of his key former staff in key positions throughout the White House. There are a lot of people who are on in the Trump administration who kind of got their start with Jeff Sessions. So I'm hoping these two get it worked out. And really, the president, I actually understand why he's frustrated. I think it's a fair thing for him to say, I should have had a heads up that you were going to recuse yourself. I also think from I'm not a lawyer, but I read the guidance. It seemed like the right thing to do to recuse himself. The person who I think balked and flinched was this deputy AG who picked the special counsel. And I think that's really a point of concern. And what I think we don't want to do is anything that exacerbates that situation. So I'm hoping these two guys get it resolved.
You think it will be?
I'm optimistic right now. It would be such a mistake, and it would just create another set of controversies and reasons to attack the president. And my hope is his advisors will say, let's talk with Jeff Sessions.
I hope so, because a lot of powerful people on both sides dislike the president and they hate his message. And so you don't want to see him alienate the one group of people who agree with him and have supported him, it seems to me. Thank you both very much.
Thank you.